Welcome to another episode of Rabbi Paul Kurland, Rabbi Brian Leiken. Today we thought that we would share with you some of our most meaningful memories of Rosh Ha-Shanah growing up. So first, Rabbi Kurland.
So it's very funny. I'm going to start off with the craziest, funniest memory. All through the years, my mother used to sing this ridiculous Rosh Hashanah song that she learned when she was quite young. It's a silly song about Rosh Hashanah down south, and my mother isn't a Southerner. She's from Hartford, Connecticut. But I'm almost embarrassed to sing it, but I'm going to sing it anyway. It goes, when it's Rosh Hashanah time in the land of cotton, that's where my tata got his for nothing, as the Zadies say their prayers, making eyes at the bubbies upstairs. When it's Rosh Hashanah time in Dixieland.
And would everybody give jazz hands?
Oh yeah, I guess you got to do that. But I warned you
That's
in
beautiful.
advance. So
that's beautiful.
Nobody else.
We don't do anything like that in my family.
So now you're going to do a very profound,
now I have to do a very meaningful one. So my memory is when I was 15 years old that summer. I had my very first girlfriend. I think we talked 3 times. That was the extent of my relationship, but it was a very meaningful relationship to me. And at the end of the summer, she broke up with me. She broke my heart. And I remember at Rosh Hashanah, every Rosh Hashanah, we lived about 4 miles from our synagogue. My father and I would walk. Wow. We would walk every Rosh Hashanah morning to the synagogue. It would take us about an hour or an hour and a half. And I remember that morning walking with my father and having this conversation with him about being heartbroken, but moreover, it turned into a conversation about God and about the existence of God, the meaning of God. And I remember by the time I got to the synagogue, I walked in and I felt so spiritually present. It was one of those moments where I felt God in the room, not because of anything that happened at the synagogue, but because of this meaningful conversation that I had with my own father.
Your father's going to love this video.
My wife is going to hate it.
No. Hey.
Right.
We all have this.
Yes, we all. It was. I think I spoke to her 3 times.
But that is. But that's quite profound. That's quite beautiful. I think that when we are kids, what are the moments? Not every rabbi just took, straight steps to the rabbinate from childhood, but there's probably special moments like that that have happened to all of us. Mine's a simpler one, where my Rabbi Irving Spielman.
Yep.
He came into our post-bar bat mitzvah class, and he said, guys, I know a lot of you hang out in the parking lot. You borrow your parents' keys, you turn on the radio, and you listen to top 40 music rather than sitting in the synagogue. I'd like to know after Rosh Hashanah how many hours you actually were in the service. Right. So, like a fool, I decided to show up early. My father was one of the ushers, so he was one of the early ushers. I got there at the beginning of the service. I did not leave the room even for a bathroom break the entire service. And let's be honest, back then, the service started at 8 o'clock and it ended at 2. And I felt proud, which most of my friends would say, you were a fool. But I felt proud about sitting, and I think it allowed me to take in a lot of the things that are written.
I do remember that. I remember, like, the longer I stayed, the more proud I would get. And my father would remind me of that as we were leaving. You stayed the whole time, and I saw 6 of your friends leave at about 11:30.
Right.
So I also remember, as a child, hearing the sound of responsive reading. And when I was a kid, we would go to the synagogue. There'd be, 1,500 people in one room, and everybody's reading the same sentence at the same time. And it sounded to me as a child like I imagined that being the voice of God. What if the voice of God was 1,500 people saying the same thing at the same time?
Or it's the children of Israel standing at Mount Sinai saying Na'aseh v'nishma.
Right. But in the meantime, we want to wish everybody at Beth Shalom, at the Nanuite Hebrew Center,
and far beyond both synagogues,
a Shana Tova, a healthy new year that's full of meaning and hope and possibility.
And also remember that teglach in that honey. It's a Shana Tova Umutuka. And being very, very sweet.
And very sweet. Okay.
Shana
Tova. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.